All right. Well, here we are. Welcome, everyone. Dipped in Tone, episode 43.
43.
This is officially the second time Zach and I have been in the same room
Right.
for an episode of Dipped in Tone.
It feels a little awkward.
It is. Really weird. Yeah, it is. But we're at the shop.
We're in the office. We're in the podcast set here.
Yeah, this is like officially like the first time that this is used as like the podcast room, right?
Yeah. This is the first time it's been anything but like me blaring loud guitar and just putting storage, like all my Sweetwater overflow coming in here.
Yep. So Tilly and Chris and myself are up this week for NAMM in Nashville. We're going to talk about that. I walked the NAMM show this morning and it was interesting.
Should we just get into that?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm last week we issued a challenge of send us a rig to dip that would be something that would make Rhett and I butt heads. And I posted this on Patreon and I said, send it with the subject, fight, fight, fight. And none of them were too safe. Y'all need to get creative and make like, oh, this would be horrible to see. If you showed up to a gig and you saw this, you would be embarrassed for that person.
Yeah. That's what we want. We want your worst rigs.
Yeah. But it's something that could appeal to one like Rhett or my sensibilities.
Yeah. Which is saying a lot about either one of us. For instance, you could have a board that's all fuzzes that I love and Zach hates.
Or a bunch of weird Squier Vista series guitars that you would go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's been texting me pictures of these weird Squier guitars that look awful.
No, they don't. So we've talked about it before, the Squier, the Supersonic, which is like, it was the Squier Vista series and then Fender made it and now Squire's making it again. And they did it in the blue sparkle, which I think it looks great. And
Zach,
you shat all over it. No, it doesn't.
Dude, it looks bad. It looks like you left it out in the sun too long and it started to melt. Like some of the Dan Electro designs, but the Dan Electro designs are kind of hip. You know, they've got like the German carve kind of thing going on. There's like redeeming factors about that, whereas this just looks bad. I don't know. Show Chris. You've never get Chris's thoughts on it because Chris also likes weird guitars.
See, okay, so it's the Squier Supersonic, and it's essentially like a left-handed guitar flipped righty.
God, I hate
with like a reverse
so
headstock, and I mean, like, you see this? What do you think?
That's cool, man.
No, it's not. It's not cool.
Aha!
There's nothing. Drop that in the chat.
You already know I like weird guitars.
It's true. So my assistant Chris is here. He's running the session, and Chris likes weird guitars. But that's like. But that's not even. It's not. No. Okay. Here's the problem with it. It's not weird enough to be cool. It's just slightly weird and asymmetrical, and just. No, I can't do it.
Man, see, okay. Well, I just think it's like it is different, but to me, it's not super foreign. But I've known about that guitar since it came out in like the late 90s initially, and so I've always like liked it. So it's just appealing.
It's a nostalgia thing for you, though.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm dropping the shit. But I do think I think it's genuinely a cool looking guitar.
Right. Okay. Well, that's fine. Whatever blows your skirt up.
Bum Force in the chat says those are really cool.
Bum Force
knows what's up.
Listen, Bum Force.
Super cool.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
Wow.
So before we get into the NAMM, dude, I'm excited to talk about the NAMM show because it's different. It's really different. But before we get into that, how was your week?
It's fine. Jesse and I burned through. We built 100. Well, he built most of 150 high road circuit boards. So just like soldering like crazy, and we got the Wildwoods getting ready. And just this week we were like, I think everybody went into this week knowing not a lot was going to get done, but we put our nose down and got a lot done. But it's it's been.
I have to say, this is an impressive setup, man.
Yeah, is it? I mean, obviously, what people see of this is like not the shop. I mean, they saw it last week,
right?
But what do you think? Is it bigger than you expected?
It is actually.
Yeah,
it is. So for the uninitiated, we're in the new shop, and this space is now shared with Revolta, Novo, and Mythos.
Yeah,
and it's big.
Yeah,
like there's some cool things that are going to be happening around here. But dude, I'm just impressed because the last time I saw like your shop was in your garage, and that would have been in October of last year.
Right.
The last time we were in town.
Yeah.
Okay. So to see you out of the garage and all these racks full of pedal enclosures and parts. You got trays of parts and circuit boards and stuff.
Well, that was the whole thing. It's like, I'm not going to take any half measures because I mean, and I'm sure you're feeling the same way about what you're going to do with your studio and all this stuff. And like, you know, everything you're doing at your new house. It's like, the garage was a half measure. It was a means to an end.
Right.
And so moving into this, I was like, I'm not going to cut corners on the benches. I want to get big, like industrial shelving and just do it once.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That's how I felt my current space was going to be. Like, all right, I'm set up in this bedroom. It's going to be half measure until we get the basement set up. But that space has worked out super well.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to keep it for a while. Even when the studio's built in the basement, I think we're going to keep it.
Well, it's such a different use.
Yeah.
You know, because like that, your like office studio thing is got to be so much more just like immediate, like plug in, turn it on.
Yeah, that's what's
ready.
great about it. Everything's patched in. There's no patch bay. There's nothing. Everything's just like flip it on and go. It's
and
awesome.
all your cameras, like, because when this new studio, you're gonna have like you're probably gonna have to move stuff. And
well, it's gonna be like a studio, like a legit, like live room, tracking room, control room, ISO booth. Like it's gonna be the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So, God, it's gonna be so expensive. I don't want. Let's not talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So, NAMM, here's the deal. We're recording this at 3 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. Today's the first day of the NAMM show, Summer NAMM show.
Of the only 2 days they're having.
Only 2 days, which traditionally there's 3 of Summer NAMM. There's 2 private industry days, and then usually Saturday is like the public day.
Yeah.
Which is always interesting. Public days are fun. Because it's a good combination of the vendors are exhausted and beat to death, and then you have the general public coming in. Everyone's super stoked to like see all the new stuff.
They're so excited, and to see you and like hang with you. Well, like I mean, you, the person,
person at the booth kind of thing.
Yeah, the vendors and the people.
So you have this chasm of difference in energy between the vendor and the poor. I mean, because dude, it is. If you've never worked at NAMM or been to NAMM, like it, especially like winter NAMM, you spend 3 or 4 days, 8 hours a day in there. It's brutal.
It's physically exhausting. Like, I mean, standing on your feet all day, you know, sucks. But just having to, I think the thing for me that's so exhausting is keeping your energy level up to be like excited to talk to everybody.
Right.
And if you do that, you know, the whole show, by the end of the day, it's just like, you're just so physically and emotionally drained from being like, hey, you know, nice to meet you. I'm so glad you're here. You know, like constantly, and not that it's disingenuous, but it is like, it just, especially for me, it just takes a lot out of me.
I think it depends if you're an introvert or an extrovert.
Yeah.
Because like I get energy from those interactions. Like I receive, so I could sit and just talk to people all day.
Yeah.
But like for introverts, for some friends of mine that are introverted, it's like draining all of their batteries and they have to get out and go get away for a little while.
Yeah. It's funny. The first summer NAMM I did by myself, one of my childhood best friends came up and helped me with my booth, and he saw me talking to these people and he's like, this is not you. Like, because I'm pretty introverted and like, I don't know, I'm not huge on big public events, and he just saw me like have to light up and talk to these people, and then he could see me like physically like having to like reset every time. He's like, I don't see how you're doing this.
Yeah.
So but after that many days of dealing not only with vendors and all the guests by public dates, it's horrible. But the thing about this NAMM, and this I think is a step in the right direction. I think NAMM, like we've said, is probably going to fade, but to just go is even if you're a NAMM member, it's like $500. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
we walked the floor, and let me describe to you how so the first person we ran into was Mark Agnesi on the floor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He walked right up to us and was like, this is like a high school science fair. And I was like, you know what? That's exactly right. It's typically with NAMM. Let me start off by saying, like, this is nobody's fault. This is not like the NAMM organization's fault. This is not any of the vendors' fault. This is a product of the times and the situation. Because you think about the amount of planning and effort it takes to put this event together, like a lot of, especially the bigger pedal companies, guitar companies, drum companies, for them to pull this kind of event off, it's tens of thousands of dollars and months worth of planning. And so if you think about where we're at in the pandemic and everything, by the time these bigger companies needed to decide whether or not they were going to pull the trigger on NAMM, we were still like not sure about vaccines, and like there was a lot of stuff up in the air.
Right.
So a lot of the big and medium-sized vendors that you're used to seeing at NAMM just decided to not go. Combine that with the fact, I was talking to another friend of mine who's part of NAMM, and he was saying, he's like, it's that. And another thing that we didn't think about, or I didn't think about, he's like, there's such a supply chain issue now with everything, with shipping containers, with parts, that a lot of the vendors don't want to go to NAMM to face their dealers to just tell them why they can't get them stuff right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's something that was the first thing I thought. It's like, even if they had said, okay, we're going to get there, we're going to do this, like they might not have they may have inventory to take to the show, but it would be, months before it was even a thought that dealers could have.
And that's something that I never thought about. It's like that interaction between the vendor and the dealer coming up saying, dude, I've had XYZ on order for 9 months. Where's my stuff? So if you're a vendor, why would you want to pay tens of thousands of dollars to like get your whole NAMM booth together just to go be like harassed because you can't get your parts together?
Because we're looking at it from the total opposite side of all the dealers. Because I mean, that is ultimately what it's all about. And I hope that the fact that this NAMM has been expensive to go to, that the people that really need to go are the only ones going.
Yeah.
And people aren't going for fun. I know there's still a lot of people doing that.
Yeah.
But was there any big companies? I mean, obviously Gibson was there.
Martin's there. Gibson has their guitar throne there.
Oh, so
that's it.
So Mark was just like hanging around.
They were all there. Mark and JC and Cesar were all there. Yeah. And we went to their Gibson Garage event last night, which we should talk about. The Gibson Garage. But yeah, they were just kind of like hanging out and walking around, because I thought, Gibson has a presence there. I was going to go, where's your booth? And Mark was like, yeah, we have the throne. We have the throne set up.
Right.
It's like, because what they're trying to do is drive all the traffic over to the new garage.
Well, if everyone's in town anyway.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because it's, it's in the Gulch. It's literally 10 minutes away from the convention center. Maybe you could walk. I mean, it'd be a long walk, but you could walk.
Now, there was a couple of really cool things.
Is it in the Gulch? Am I right?
It's like right next to the Frist Art Museum.
Oh, okay.
So it's downtown, but
so
not
it's like
Gulch.
On the edge of downtown. It's okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. But most of our listeners don't care. But.
Yeah, but that's not walkable. Never mind.
So basically, I was a little depressed walking in there, because NAMM, I love NAMM. It's fun to like go and walk and see all the booths and see all the new gear and talk to people. And usually summer NAMM is rows and rows and rows of booths. And I mean, there's hundreds of booths.
Yeah.
And right now, they're only utilizing about half of the convention center. So the other half of the floor is literally just like empty. It's just open space right now. And the booths are spaced much farther apart. Now, they did that for COVID reasons, I think.
Right.
There's no carpet down either, which is also weird.
Yeah. All the pictures I saw, I was like, where's the carpet? Yeah. But then like they only have carpet basically for the walkways. Right. So even if they put it there, there'd just be these huge squares where there's and Tilly was saying that you can actually talk to people.
So this is amazing. Like this is the first NAMM I've been to where you're not just being beat to death by sound.
Right.
And you could actually, like we're having right now, in the middle of the NAMM floor, have a conversation with someone and just not be screaming at each other, or worse, getting 3 inches from someone's ear and spitting into their, but that's how people get sick from NAMM, is that interaction.
Was it still like, was there still noise happening?
Yeah, there was noise happening.
But
not like it was.
So who was there? Like who?
So we did a quick kind of lap. As far as guitar brands, let's see. There was Martin, Furch guitars. There a Taylor's there. I think Taylor has their like normal upstairs booth set up. There was like Red Panda Effects was there. I walked by the big pedal booth.
The deli.
Yeah.
The Delicious Audio thing.
Yep. Delicious Audio. The coolest booth that I saw today, Third Man Records was there for their first time with Copper Sound, who did the Telegraph thing with Jack White.
Yeah.
And I had a total nerd moment. Okay. So if people aren't familiar, Third Man Records is Jack White's label. That's his whole brand. They do all this, and they've been getting into guitar pedals.
Yep.
So they were there showing. It's their first NAMM ever, and they had a really cool booth set up. You know, it's very on brand for them, black and yellow and funky everything.
Yeah.
Sitting next to, on the floor, just on a regular stand, was a copper Gretsch double cut jet with 3 Filtertrons.
Oh.
And I was looking at it and I was like, dude, that looks like Jack White's Raconteurs guitar.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a huge Raconteurs fan. Like, they're one of my favorite bands ever.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at it, and it's like pretty beat up, and it was there, and it was just sitting there on a stand, like literally one of these stands right here. And it was attached to their demo board. And was talking to one of the guys. He's like, "Yeah, are you a guitar player?" I was like, "Yeah." And so I started playing the stuff, and I looked at him. I was like, "Hey, man, is this the early Raconteurs guitar?" And he didn't say anything, but he looked at me and he did one of these. He's like just a little head nod, and I was like, "Oh, sick!
Sweet,
this is cool."
Did it have the mic in it?
No, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's from the early Consolers of the Lonely era. You see the videos where he's playing the copper Gretsch.
Oh, okay.
It's like a double cut duo jet with 3. It's rad.
Yeah.
And the back of the neck's all worn out. So that was the coolest moment for me. I think I got to play Jack White's guitar from my favorite Jack White band era. And it's just on the floor. Like, anyone can go pick it up and grab it and play.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to hang with the Copper Sound guys.
They're really nice.
No, they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Telegram pedal, he was showing me everything, because their display is actually really cool. They have, in a display case, their entire prototyping phase for that pedal. So they have the breadboard of the original analog series, and then they have all the circuit boards with the chips, because it's DSP. It's
right,
kind of like a POG, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they had the first prototype that they let Jack play. I forget on what gig, and he showed me that all of the little Telegram switches and buttons were bent and torn up, and he's like, "Yeah, we learned with this first one that we had to brace and make them out of a stronger metal because Jack beat the shit out of this thing." He's like, "Yeah." So they had all the different prototypes. They had the one that the Raconteurs took on tour in 2019. It was a really cool booth.
This one?
Yeah.
Aha! Yeah, we'll put this in the video.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So
that's very cool.
Let me see. It has a different pickguard on it now. That's it. The triple jet. It has a black pickguard on it now. And then the pickups have been, that's it. That's it. They've just changed the pickguard. So I played that guitar this morning.
Cool.
And I was kind of having a moment with it.
Oh, speaking of guitars, little sidebar here. Did you see the new Billy Gibbons signature guitar?
No.
Oh,
show me.
Okay. So do you remember the Gyrock system? The rotating?
Yes.
All right. So I guess Billy was really into that.
Really?
Well, I mean, I don't know. But he released this new guitar. I thought I texted this to you, but I guess I didn't. And
whoa,
it's from Wild Customs, which is a company that I'm not familiar with.
Oh, they do the Gyrock thing, I think.
Oh, is that who it is?
I think it is, yeah.
And it looks, for those listening, it's kind of got an Explorer vibe, but small kind of thing. And it's got a big plastic pickguard on it.
This is really reminding me of the St. Vincent signature.
Well, that's what some of the Novo guys were saying. And it's so it comes with a variety of different pickups that all of his signature Seymour Duncan stuff, the Pearly, and then he has a bunch of custom shop things,
right?
That you can put in here. But guess how much this is?
Oh God! Is this going to make me mad?
Just a shot in the dark.
All right. So it's Wild Customs. How many are they making, or is it just a production run?
I don't recall seeing if there was any number on them, but it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different pickups and a strap, and
right.
It comes with all that. So we'll put this on the video.
I'm gonna say, and this is an honest guess, $54.99.
$9,999. I saw it and was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then I saw the price and I was like, no way. Sorry, that was too loud.
Dude.
I was clipping the mic there.
It's okay. So I like it. I think it's cool.
I do not like it.
I think it's funky. right? Oh, the chat's loving this.
Shout out to our Discord chat.
Oh yeah, sorry. Shout out to Discord. We're going to try something new on this episode that we might end up regretting, but we have everyone in a live sort of hang, like a channel here, and we're going to do a little radio show, talk show call-in thing.
You're on the air.
We'll call it Tone Line or something like that.
The Tone Line.
The Tone Line.
Yeah, all these merch ideas that we need to cash in on, right?
The Tone Line. Okay, great.
Budweiser logo shape. That is absolutely.
Oh, that's right. It looks like the Budweiser logo.
It looks like a Budweiser logo.
How long before someone turns one into a Budweiser logo?
I think that guitar, there's been like a Budweiser bow tie sort of guitar.
Oh, of course there has. I've probably seen it in an Applebee's somewhere.
Yeah, like that sort of thing. Like I've seen those.
Yeah, okay, great.
Anyway.
$10,000.
Yeah. I totally derailed this NAMM train. But I mean, that may be there. I don't know. It's like this, of course, is the time that regardless of whether you're at the show or not, like new stuff always gets announced. So.
Yeah. Which is
there
cool.
It is.
There's the Budweiser guitar. Look at that. That's exactly what it looks like. Oh my god.
Oh man. For $10,000. Okay. Let's. I mean, we're just gonna derail completely.
That's fine.
What would you buy for $10,000? If you had $10,000 and it had to be spent on one instrument, where would you go?
One instrument?
Yeah, just like one thing. What would you buy? Because
this is interesting. But this is interesting though, because at $10,000, you're not going to really get into a golden era vintage guitar from Fender or Gibson.
Yeah, I mean, you could get like a special or a junior.
Yeah.
I mean, like you could get a killer junior.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you're not going to get a Black Artel. You're not going to get an early Strat.
You could get a broken one, or like one that had like all the pickups would be rewound, or so.
Yeah, but even like player grade stuff now for like early '60s Strats, they're more than 10.
Yeah, they're about 15. Right. But you could get a custom shop something.
But that's the thing, right? Yeah. $10,000 is a weird. You're in a weird price range.
It's a lot of money, but it's also
a lot of money
like,
because it's enough money that you're like, man, I feel like I should get something vintage.
Right.
That's like going to hold its value. It's going to retain its value, maybe appreciate at some point. Or am I going to go custom shop and spend an arm and a leg on a brand new guitar? Oh, what are you looking at? This is weird because I don't have the chat pulled up.
Sorry, East Side Music Supply. They have one of the Budweiser guitars right now.
Me? How much?
Oh, I didn't even look. $900. Not
you go buy that.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Put it in. It
has a pickup cover with an eye. Like it's like it's
dude.
It's horrible.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
that's one that like you. Actually, that's perfect for a Billy Gibbons guitar because he could like put his thing on the back of it and flip it up.
I can't look at the chat. It's like
Beer Me or something.
There's a PVPBR.
Okay, but for $10,000, okay.
Yeah.
You could go get a top of the line Murphy Lab Gibson even that's more than most custom. You could get like a master built Fender,
yeah,
something like that.
What would you go for?
And it has to be an instrument on one instrument.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be electric guitar. It could be an acoustic guitar. It could be an amplifier. It could be the Dutch Burst.
It'd be the Dutch Burst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that about how much it was?
It was, I think, 14.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh, somebody tagged me recently on a Pearly Gates Les Paul that showed up. That wasn't the aged and signed. It was just a normal one. $12,000.
Yeah. Now, the guy who bought the Dutch Burst listens to the pod and emailed me because remember a couple weeks ago, or no, it was on my channel. I put out a call on a Q&A video. I was like, hey, if any, because somebody asked, what's one guitar that got away? And it's the Dutch Burst.
Yeah.
And the guy emailed me.
Oh no.
And he was like, hey, I'm the guy that bought the Dutch Burst.
He's rubbing it in your face.
Well, but I started reading the email. I was excited. He was like, I thought he was going to say something like, I've got the Dutch Burst. Here's how much I want for it. But he didn't. He was like, hey man, got the Dutch Burst. It's a great guitar. I know that. And he's like, if I ever decide to sell it, you'll be the first one to know. It's like, oh my God.
Like every day that ticks away on that guitar, the price just goes up. And
dude. And now looking at the price that they offered me, I should have bought that guitar.
You never know, like
I should have bought it.
I mean, looking back, we should have bought every custom shop Gibson. My first custom shop Gibson I bought for $2,500 new, Les Paul. It was black.
Right.
But you can't do that now.
No, you can't.
So
you just can't.
So you would try to find a Dutch burst if you had that.
It would be the Dutch burst. I'd take that 10 grand and I would email that guy and I would say,
just flapping in his face.
Here it is.
I would probably try to find a late 50s, early 60s double cut special.
That's probably the better move, honestly. Yeah. Or really like screaming 59 Junior.
Yeah.
Like a good one.
You could get into one for that, for sure.
Yeah.
Totally.
All day.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at something that's going to appreciate
forever.
Or at least hold its value at the very least and then appreciate.
I had, after RJ borrowed my Klon and the Wildwood and my friend Jesse's gold Klon that I had, and he did like a shootout video and he was like, this silver one's really good. Mm-hmm. Someone emailed me and offered me an obscene amount of money for it. And I was like, no, I can't. But it's crazy.
Don't let this turn into another cryptocurrency situation that you found yourself in. We're like, dude,
I can't talk. I can't even think about it. It makes me sick.
I told you. It's like, man, that's amazing. Did. You should sell. You're like,
no way, man.
Let's go way harder than
to the moon.
To the moon. And then you rode that ship all the way to the bottom.
Way back down to where I started. It's okay. So anyway, NAMM.
Yeah.
Does it feel like a hopeless, sort of destitute event now?
Well, if you walk in there right now and you take stock of where it currently sits, yes.
Yeah.
It feels over. But the reality is this NAMM isn't really the make or break NAMM. It's going to be this winter NAMM.
100%. Yes.
Right. It's going to be this winter NAMM. And I think one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to see in the next 6 months things really start to turn around, countries lifting out of lockdown, because Winter NAMM is a much more international event. Summer NAMM is mostly like a North America thing.
Yeah.
And Winter NAMM is like you got people coming in from all over the world. So you got the international component. If supply chains start to loosen up and get back to normal and people can, like I ran into the guy, Derek, who is my Hercules stands rep.
Right.
And he came up to me. He's like, hey man, I've been trying to get you these stands for I forgot about it. Like when we were moving into the new place, I needed a couple new stands.
Right.
He's like, dude, like we can't get them.
Yeah.
Like there's just nothing you can do. So I think if that stuff starts to ease up, then we'll see NAMM start to come back. But here's the thing. And we've talked about this before. Even today, walking around, the best part about NAMM is it's the 2 times a year where the industry all comes together and you get to see your friends, you get to talk to people. Like between last night at Gibson Garage and today on the NAMM floor, I got introduced to and met a lot of people that I've wanted to meet for a really long time.
Yeah.
And trading numbers and like connecting with people. That really is the reason to come to NAMM.
Yeah.
And that'll never change. So whether or not it's a trade show, industry event, I think there's always going to be a need for some kind of event where the industry comes together and people work together.
I had a meeting last night with a company and talked about that very thing and told them about our
we need to talk about
con
that.
Thing or con idea. We'll have to talk about this off air.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a thing that happens in the next
probably
our
thing.
Well, just like that sort of thing. But I want our thing to happen.
I do too.
And we need to have the dunking booths and the carnival food and stuff.
Yeah.
So talking about the Gibson Garage, I saw one story on Instagram from you guys, and it just ended with Tilly saying, "This is so cool" or something like that. And I want to, now I need to be filled in. Now I feel like I missed out.
Okay. So last night was, these kind of things happen all the time at NAMM. It's like these quote unquote private party things.
Yeah.
They're not really private. It's like, you just have to ask and you can get in.
Sure.
An invite kind of thing. But it was like their sort of like launch of the Gibson Garage. And it was like a pretty corporate thing. It was like a lot of their dealers and things like that.
Yeah, I saw Walter.
Yeah. I ran into Walter and Christy and anyways, so Tilly and I actually, it was cool for us because we were in Nashville in February of 2020, and we got to see it. Mark took us through it when they had just finished demolishing the inside. They had just taken over the space, and it was gutted. And all we saw was like, bare concrete floor and wires hanging from the ceiling. And I mean, it was a wreck. They had just finished. And then so to walk in there last night and see it was actually really cool.
Yeah.
They have done a really great job with that space. Regardless of what you think about Gibson, regardless of, what you think about the company or whatever, I think if you're ever in Nashville and you are interested in guitars, it's worth going and at least sticking your head in and seeing it, because it's pretty impressive what they've done. And I think they've got some really smart things going on there. So what you saw in my story was the custom shop section. So it's this whole spot in the Gibson garage where you can, if you're wanting to go and like make the pilgrimage to Nashville, so to speak, to pick out your dream custom shop Les Paul, they have these drawers in this wall. So you push a button on the wall and these motorized like pieces of wall come down that have blank maple tops, like glued up tops, and they're all numbered, and you can say, I want that. There's my top. Right. And then they open a drawer, and in all the drawers, there's a bunch of carved just maple tops with the different bursts. So you can sit there and say, okay, well, this is a lemon burst versus a factory burst. And then they open another drawer, and there's all the necks. Right. So you can like feel the different neck profiles. And then they've got another drawer with all the hardware options and everything. So you can literally like spec your guitar out piece by piece, which I think is actually super cool. Yeah.
They did that in pockets at big dealers with their made to measure program, but it was really like, there'd be like a couple necks hanging on, like pegboard sort of thing. But that's awesome. I love anything with motors. It moves.
There's some pageantry about the whole place that I have found really. And then like, the ceiling, there's literally hundreds of guitars on this conveyor belt that like go around the whole place, and they're all for sale. So it's like if there was this like Trini Lopez, like custom shop Trini Lopez I was looking at, that theoretically you could say, hey, I'd like to see that guitar. And they punch in the number, and then the whole conveyor belt moves around, and then the guitar like gets picked out and comes down. And they're like, here you go.
Does it like automatically bring it down?
I don't know.
They have like a big rod.
Yeah,
like
they've got a
clothing
big
store.
Yeah, pull it out. So it was cool. And then there's the vault.
Oh yeah,
in the back, which is, so here is the coolest thing that I think Gibson is doing right now. They are in the process of buying up as many of their vintage instruments as they can. They're trying to find the best examples possible.
Okay.
And they're doing this for two reasons. Reason one is they want real life examples that they can take to Tom Murphy in the Murphy lab and say, okay, look at how this neck wore. Look at how, right here where this switch. So they can try and get their Murphy lab stuff as close as possible. That's fine. To me, the really cool thing that they're trying to do is get as many good examples as possible in their collection to then start to loan out to players who are working on records or who are playing gigs in town or and they're doing this now, right? In their vaults, there's a 58 Carina V. There is a burst. There's two 61 SGs. There's a 64 335 that's 15 serial numbers off of Clapton's 335. I mean, and these guitars, they were telling me like, yeah, dude, if you were in town and you were doing a session, like you wanted a burst for a session, we'll come deliver it to you and you can use it on your session. And you don't have to be some, now they're not going to let just anybody do it, right? But like,
attention Discord listeners.
But here's what it is. It's like the thing that I drew it to is like, you think about Stradivarius violins, right? The arguably the most sought after musical instruments probably in existence.
Oh, yes.
They're millions of dollars a piece, but they're still being played.
Yeah.
What they're owned by, some rich private collector, or they're owned by a foundation that then loans them out to some of the best violinists in the world to be played and heard. And that's what Gibson's trying to do with their own guitars. They're trying to get good examples. So like the 59 they had in the vault has never been sold. Mark told me that he got it from the original family.
Oh, really?
And he found out that they were like about to sell it, and he was able to get to it before it went to auction.
A private collector or something.
So I think that's really cool.
That is cool. Those are really cool.
It's not like other museums that are out there that have these guitars, these collections that just sit behind glass.
Sure.
Or that they just exist in some private collection that you'll never hear it or ever see it again.
Right. It's kind of like what, and I don't know if they're still there, but the Big House, they would let people play Dwayne's guitars.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I mean, could you imagine? Like, hey, here's Dwayne's gold top. You can gig with this tonight, and we'll bring it to you.
Well, I think that's
would you freak out? How much would you freak out?
I think they might be trying to do that kind of thing too. Is like it's trying to get their hands on the stuff. And the whole idea is like they want to preserve the guitars and have them as part of their thing and whatever, but to be able to loan them out and let people play them, and let people hear them.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I liked it. I thought it was a great time. If you're in Nashville, I think it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I need to go over there and just see what's going on.
And
they'll be like, "You get out of here!"
Dude, they have some really cool Epiphones over there too that I hadn't even seen before.
New ones or old ones?
New ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I wish they would bring back the Sheridan with mini humbuckers, which is like
the Robin Ford thing. Yeah.
Well, and I think they have made a few of those, but like that, those are just such cool guitars. And I think they had like the Resophonic bridge or whatever. You know, I don't know if Robbins has that. But yeah, like I love those guitars. Yeah, How long have we been going?
I don't know. Chris, where are we at? Yeah, normally I have. It should. Maybe Chad could tell us, but
37 minutes.
Nice. Do we have a rig to dip?
I didn't look. I mean, let's see.
I feel so weird because I can't read the chat right now because I've got this thing open. All right, why don't we try? You see if we can find a rig. Let's try taking a. You want to try a tone line question here?
Yeah. Let's
let's take a risk.
Let's
so here's how this is going to work.
Up on the tone line.
There's about 20 something people in here right now. If you have a question, you can raise your hand, and we're going to do this super pro. I'm just going to hold my phone up to the microphone, and we're going to see. All right. Here we go. Master Machetier. All right, you're live on the air. What's your question?
So you mentioned that NAMM was a place, or NAMM, I guess, was a place where you can kind of meet up with people, exchange numbers and stuff in the community.
Yeah.
The cool thing about NAMM is there's more stuff than just guitars, right? And online, we see a lot of these small communities coming up with communities of guitarists, communities of drummers, communities of bassists or whatever, but I feel like there's not a lot of interchanging. Have you ever thought about kind of melding those groups together where a place where people can kind of collaborate with music in a way?
No, they're not invited.
Hey man, this is a guitar event, man. No, that's a really good question, actually. So I don't actually see the way NAMM exists currently. I don't actually see a lot of intermingling between different musician types, if you will.
Yeah.
Not to say it doesn't happen, right? Especially if you have friends and like people are at NAMM, you kind of meet up and stuff. But generally, like the guitarists kind of hang out with the guitar area, and the bassists kind of hang out in the bass area. And I think that's just part of the culture. But it would be really cool to see a more sort of inclusive event like that.
Yeah, and I think mainly it's because NAMM is such it's a business event. You know, for the most part. So
it's a trade show.
It's a trade show. Yeah. So like, you know, all these people are there mainly to talk to dealers, talk to artists, talk to people in their field so they can make a business move. And I don't think it's ever been something that people are like, I'm not going to the drum section. It's just like they might not have any business going over there. And everything happens so quickly. Like, I mean, you know, like, oh, I have this video with Premier Guitar at this time and I got to be over here at this time. It's like you don't really have time to even go like explore or have fun in these places because you're just slammed the whole time. Yeah,
it's a busy time for sure. Yeah. But it does bring up a good point of like how would you make something that was more holistic in like getting the different sort of instruments to mingle with one another. But I don't know that that'll ever happen with NAMM because again, it is just inherent in its sort of design, so to speak. It's a trade show.
Yeah.
And it's really about vendors and dealers coming together and doing business. That's really at its core what it's about. And then vendors announcing new products and things like that.
And it feels very segmented because like they put like-minded companies together,
Right.
and that's for their advantage, so that, you know, I'm not going to be a pedal builder out. I want to be with the other pedal companies, not out with the amp companies or what. I mean, like, you're close to those things, but they wouldn't put me near the drums or the
Right.
keyboards necessarily.
Right. But I will say the one area where there is a lot of crossover is in the recording world.
Yeah.
So like UA's booth, for example, is always slammed with everyone.
Because there's like modular stuff and recording stuff and keyboard stuff, and it's all
Right.
kind of living in the
Right.
same.
Or microphones.
Yeah.
Like I walked by AEA's booth and looked at their new stuff. I mean, because the reality is no matter what instrument you play, especially if you're on a professional level, you're involved in the recording space in some form or fashion. And so that's sort of the one area that everyone kind of congregates around.
Yeah.
But nice. Good question. Maybe we take one more here
Yeah.
on the tone line. So
We need a jingle for this.
the tone line.
Da-da-da.
God, Jesus. All right, cool. We got one more here. Let's see. Mars. Okay.
Hello.
What's up? Welcome to the tone line. You're on the air.
Yes. Tone hotline. I need your help.
Yeah.
So my question is for Zach, actually.
Oh,
and
no.
I want to know what the deal is with artifacts on analog delays.
Oh,
Why it sounds so different from pedal to pedal. I have 3 different analog delays, and they all sound different with different artifacts, and I was just wondering why.
well, a lot of that, because just like a fuzz or something, you have to tune them, basically. You have to like set a clock and you have to dial everything in. Now with the Oracle, all that's set with resistors, but on many analog delays, it's all set with trim pots. So because these things are so sensitive and you're working with different power supplies, which, you know, 2 power supplies, if you ever put a meter on them, one might be 9, one might be 9.2. And all those tiny fluctuations can really cause even 2 pedals of the same type to vary. But the biggest thing for all the different like analog stuff, different chips sound different, even if they have like the same amount of milliseconds. But it's all about how the manufacturer really goes in there and sets the voltages and the resistance and all that stuff for the parameters of that chip. And unless you do it like how I do it, where it's fixed pretty much the same way, where the only variance is the chips themselves, you have a human doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So on an analog circuit anyway. So that's where you get those sort of subtle differences,
Right.
which I think is like the beauty of it, just
I
like
do
with
too.
fuzz.
Right. I love analog delay.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Sir analog delay that just came out?
I saw it, but I haven't heard it.
I
yet.
watched a demo on YouTube of it this morning. It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Are
cool.
you going to throw the Oracle in the trash?
I was probably going to sell the Oracle, honestly.
You should.
Yeah, just get rid of it, you know, because there's no, honestly, because it does a different thing. And you're right. That's kind of the beauty of analog delays is that you kind of have an excuse to have multiple ones because like my delay llama sounds way different than the Oracle,
Yeah.
which sounds way different than the Sir would.
Mhm.
You know, they all are very different things.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I was wondering, so I have an Electro Harmonics Memory Man that
Mhm.
runs at 24 volts,
Right.
and my other 2 run at 9, and
Mhm.
the ones that run at 9 have noticeably more artifacts.
Right.
And I'm guessing there's a lot of factors, but I'm guessing voltage is one of them based on your answer. So,
Yeah. I mean, they run at
yeah.
different.
It did answer my question.
They run at different headrooms, and you know, just the voltage has a huge impact on everything.
Penny just wandered into the podcast here. She's wanting the bone. There we go. Dude, I think the tone line's working out.
I like the tone.
I think
line.
we should make this a segment.
This would be a monthly thing.
No, we'll do this. We'll do one a show.
Every show.
Yeah.
We can't
Why
even
not?
rip a rig.
Listen, because this is, I'll admit, okay, this episode is kind of thrown together, but
Like,
we have
most of our.
yeah. But we have the technology to make this like a more consistent and professional thing.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
We just need a We need to be in person every time. We need holograms.
Yeah.
Future technologies.
We should talk to Joel at Chase Bliss. I'm sure he could figure something out for us.
Yeah. He knows all about that stuff.
He does. That's like his MO. That's what that fuzz pedal makes me feel like every time I play it.
Right.
It's the, nice. Okay, cool. Do we want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
All right, one more. Uno mas. Okay, now this is a special one here. We've got the one and only I Play Bass coming up, who's keeper of our famous rig dipping scroll.
And I think there's a shill list now. I don't know who.
Oh, is there a shill list too?
And there's the drinking game list.
Right. Okay. All right, I've added him. So.
Hello.
Welcome to the tone line.
Wait, can you hear us?
Welcome to the tone line. What's your question, caller?
Mr. Show.
That's me. Yeah.
My question is, when like you and Noah play out, and Noah does a song like Tied to the Whipping Post, I'm guessing somebody's got to get paid for that. How does that happen?
Oh, you know what? That's a really good question.
Really good question.
So I actually don't know. I definitely know that like nobody's cutting checks to anyone at the end of a song. There's also the fact that the way we play Whipping Post is quite a bit different in some ways to the original Allman Brothers version. Now, there's a difference, I think, in live performance versus posting a cover online. I know for a fact that if we put a cover up on YouTube, depending on how close it is to the original and all that kind of stuff, a lot of times your video will get demonetized.
Yeah.
And the money that's earned from the AdSense revenue will go to the copyright holder, which oftentimes is some label or some subsidiary or some holding company or something. Very, very rarely does, like YouTube AdSense ever end up in the pockets of like the actual artists, which kind of makes me think that it's sort of designed that way.
Right.
It kind of gets lost in the fray a little bit there. But in terms of the live performance, I'll be honest, this is something that I learned when I was in music school in my music business class, and I have since forgotten. I don't know what the protocol is for that.
Yeah, I mean, if it was recorded and replayed anywhere, then you'd have to.
Right.
Like if you did a cover and it was on Spotify.
Yes. Now, yeah, exactly. If you're going to do a cover and put it on a record, then you do have to go through, I think it's the Harry Fox agency, and you have to get like, there's a whole process to that. So if Noah wanted to put Whipping Post on his next record, then that would have to be handled there. But yeah, in terms of just live performance, I actually don't know. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. The reason I ask is that I can remember when we used to buy sheet music when that was a thing. I think that was like written on the back of it.
Oh, really?
That you couldn't perform it for essentially for pay.
Right.
Without paying somebody.
Yeah. And I know, I think that is still a thing in the church world too. Like in the worship world, you'll see it's called I think it's called like a CCLI number, where basically churches are buying the rights to perform and show the lyrics of a specific worship song in a service. And I always thought, so you know what? I don't know. And hopefully we don't like have the IRS or something come knocking on Noah's door after this podcast
They've been alerted.
I was thinking more ASCAP and BMI.
Yeah.
BMI does do live concert royalties.
They do, but I think it's also depending on whoever's organizing the show. So I know like a lot of venues, if you're a venue that hosts live music, you have to pay a PRO like BMI, ASCAP to do that. So like the festival that we just played, Lakefront Music Festival in Lake Prior Lake, Minnesota. I imagine that's part of like what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's not just us playing covers. It's, one of the headliners played Margaritaville.
Oh.
And it wasn't Jimmy Buffett playing.
Oh.
Yeah. So
why?
Because it was a country festival. It was a straight up country festival. It was actually a good time. But yeah, that's a long winded way to say I don't know, man. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, there you go. That's the first ever episode and instance of Tone Talk.
Yeah.
Hopefully it translates to the podcast.
It's going to be a lot of like jump cuts in this one, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And dude, lastly, I think we should wrap up. I don't know if we talked about this, but how your gig, how did you feel like physically?
I felt pretty good.
Yeah. Because I was concerned like you were going to hurt.
I wasn't concerned. Tilly was concerned.
Right.
But so I was a little sore. And it wasn't because of the playing, it was because of switching guitars.
Oh.
So like I lowered my straps down a little bit to kind of give myself more room to get the guitars on and off, and that helped. But with Noah's set, I'm playing 3 guitars and I'm switching pretty regularly.
Right.
And I even tried to like pare down my switching, because sometimes in normal circumstances, like I might just switch a guitar because I want to use a different sound or different tone on a song. But on this show, I just kept it as straight ahead as possible, and I was still switching like every second or third song.
Right.
And so that wore on me a little bit.
So you're saying that the Variax is starting to look really appealing.
I didn't say that, and I don't think I ever will say that.
You know what? I went to a gig once, not soon after those guitars came out, and I thought, oh, here we go. This guy's got the Variax. What are we in for? And I was pleasantly surprised.
I'm sure they sound great, and I'm sure that there's lots of people out there that have them and love them.
I'm shocked that there's still like a thing. Like you can go to Line 6. I mean, like no dig on like Line 6 and what they do in that respect. Like, because some of those are cool guitars, but I'm kind of surprised that you can go buy a new one.
You know what I'm surprised about? Speaking of Line 6 and guitars, why hasn't Revstar caught on board?
Revstar?
Yeah,
the Yamaha
stuff? Revstar stuff.
I don't know.
They're really good.
Yeah.
But people don't think about them.
I'm not a huge fan. Like, I love the one they made for Chris Buck.
Yeah.
So it's like an antique gold. It's like a Relics gold with P90s. And it's so cool. And I feel like it and the normal ones are just like, they're
different.
not quite the same. Because I know they pushed really hard when those came out. There's a lot of people here in town that they gave them to try to lift them up. And everyone was like, yeah,
it's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of want one.
I do too, a little bit.
Yeah. When I started with the pickup thing, I thought, I should get a couple guitars to like mess with, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So,
well, there you go.
Yep.
Speaking of, you have a shill of the week? Because I got one.
You know what? Yeah. I'm gonna
self-shill.
So, recently Joey and I decided to do more high roads, and we've been making these and I've been playing them again, and I got to get you one.
I've never played one.
It's such a good fuzz, and money goes to Joey's pocket, which is important to me because he's my friend and he's not gigging right now.
Right.
So it's good to help take care of him and his family. But I love this pedal. I love the art of it that was designed by his sister-in-law. And
so this isn't a self-shill. This is a shill for Joey.
It's a Joey shill.
It's a Joey shill. Great. And it's a good size.
It's pocket size.
Did he pick the form factor?
So originally it was in a bigger box.
Right.
And we only sold a few. And then after that kind of like stopped and people still wanted them, I said, hey, let's make some mini ones. And mainly the idea was he could sell them as merch.
Right.
And he sold hand over fist. He would sell 15 plus at a gig, which like for a band, I mean, Brothers Landreth is a sizable band, but they're not huge.
Right.
And 15, like they upcharge them because of the gig, it's like you don't buy a t-shirt at a gig for cheap. You buy it on the website after it's all over. And he made a lot of money, which was great. And it helped really take care of things on the road. So
that's such a smart idea that I'm going to try and do one day. Like just sell pedal. Dude, the first time I ever saw it, first person I ever saw it do it was Bonamassa.
Yeah.
He was selling his like fuzz face on the road.
And I bet he sells out of them like crazy.
Yeah.
Because Joey, he would have them and he would have a Sharpie and people would buy them. He'd sign it and they would be happy as a clam.
Yep. Happy as a clam. All right. I got a shill.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Audio land, you can't see this, but Mythos pickups.
There they are.
They're here and they're available now. Click the link down below. He'll just start making them and shipping them out. No, actually, so these are the first set of humbuckers that you just wound, right? Like the first completed set?
Yeah, I think I wound that one like Monday of last week.
Yeah. So you're playing it in here a minute ago through this 2-rock.
Yeah.
You really should get a better amp in here, though.
I know, it's kind of crappy, isn't it?
If you're going to try and show people your stuff. I mean,
it looks way too nice and it sounds way too good.
It's fine, but like if you're trying to be a pro.
It's like if you want perfection, you have to get that, but like who needs that?
Well, it's not even that. It's just like, like I said, just get a better amp. Anyways, this sounds really good.
So that's exactly what Dennis said. So I put them in there and I gave it to Dennis and said, play this and let me know what you think. And after the weekend, I saw him on Monday. He's like, you know what? Pretty good.
They're pretty good.
I was like, okay, good enough.
Now you notice my voice went up an octave. Mm-hmm. Dennis's voice probably was like, yeah, pretty good. They're not great. There's a couple things that need to change.
Yeah.
Okay. Bridge pickup's a little bright.
It's fair. Well, again, I said I think that might be this and the pine.
Sure.
But it is bright.
It's bright.
And I'll figure it out.
But what I'm saying, though, is for the first time ever winding a pickup, you're 90% there.
I feel pretty close.
Right.
And I don't know if I mentioned last time, but John, he's a relatively new hire at Novo. He worked for Stan Winston Studios. He like helped make the T-Rexes and he worked on the T-100 like Terminators, and he's an engineer.
Right.
And he helped doing all the computer design over there, and he's really into 3D printing. And so he's going to help me get my like auto traversal jig and everything set up like proper. Cause he's like, oh yeah, I printed all this stuff and made a CNC machine out of it. It's like, well,
I printed a CNC machine.
Wow. But once I get that sort of dialed in, and my whole hope and dream is that I do like a handful and then sell them and see how it goes. And
so he's taking pre-orders now. Click the link down below. Go ahead and get on the list. I'm going to sell these two. These are early prototypes, the first ones ever. So these are going for $2,000 a piece. You can email rhett@rhettshull.com. We'll figure out a commission later. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Mythos pickups. They're here.
Not.
All right, cool. Well, there you go.
That's it.
Our second in-person episode ever.
Yeah. And I still haven't modded that tube screamer.
I forgot about that.
Bye, everybody.